My deadbeat biological dad was out of my life by the time I, 21 male, was 1. My mom marries my dad when I was 18 months old, and he adopted me. Apparently, deadbeat married a few years ago and adopted his wife's daughter, and then he dropped dead earlier this year. The widow was told about me, and she decided I'd become her daughter's big brother and act as though my deadbeat dad was my dad in any way. She went through a whole ordeal to find me and started reaching out to me on Facebook. When I blocked her there, she found another social media platform, and I also blocked her there. Then she tried to get my mom to talk to me and my younger siblings, and most of my siblings are minors. One of my siblings has an art page where they post stuff, and they had to close that because she was trying to access them there. And yes, they're a minor. I have zero interest or desire to meet this child or this woman. I'm sad for a kid who lost the only dad they knew, as someone who was chosen and adopted by my dad and would be inconsolable if I lost him. This child and I have no reason to have contact. This woman will not stop saying I need to have a relationship with her child, though. I ended up unblocking my deadbeat's widow. I sent a message back that if she didn't stop, I'd consult with an attorney and have a cease and desist sent to her, and that I would escalate things more if she didn't leave me alone. She responded that I should have some compassion for her daughter and that threatening her with legal action is wrong, given their recent loss. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have no obligation to this woman or this child, to whom you're not biologically related. I think this woman has some as yet unclear motive. Who decides their kid needs to have a relationship with some random person they've never met? Double check your deadbeat dad did legally marry this woman and did adopt her daughter. If he didn't, you might be the default next of kin for his estate. At the very least, you probably have grounds to get some of it, which is why she'd want you emotionally invested in the kid, so she can guilt you into taking less than your share. I was thinking the same thing. Might need to get a lawyer to look into the father's probate, will, etc. It could be that Pops there had remorse and included his child in the will, which could get messy due to new marriage and adoption. Still, wills may trump all of that, depending on the location where it was executed. OP, that person has been gone for 2 decades. Whatever he did later in his life was his life, not yours. You don't need to do anything for another child that he had. This lady's grasping for anything and is being very creepy about it and harassing you and your family through this. She needs help. You did the right thing, and if she continues, absolutely do the cease and desist. Update. I've been thinking about her motive too, but I don't know what it would be. The only thing I can think of is maybe, and this is a huge maybe, some of the deadbeat's family feels bad or something and wrote me into their will or whatever, and she wants it for her daughter. But even then, I really doubt that because why would they? I don't know these people at all. I've already found an attorney who can see me whenever. The next time one of us gets a message from her, I'll reach back out and have the letter sent. My parents are even offering to pay for it. I, a female teen, have a brother, teen, who's autistic. He's a year older, but was held back a grade, so we're in the same grade. Ever since I was little, I've felt like I don't matter, and the only reason my parents had me was for my brother to have a friend. To be clear, I'm not neglected or abused, but my parents expect me to build my entire life around my brother. When I was younger, they always forced me to do whatever my brother wanted because we had to do everything together. When I wanted to learn piano and he wanted to do karate, we both had to do karate. When my friends invited me to play dates, I could only go if he could. When I was really little, my parents would basically just force the other parents to take him. But as I got older, I just stopped going anywhere because I didn't want to take my brother with me. To make things worse, we moved when we were in 6th grade, and it was almost impossible for me to make new friends because my brother was with me all the time. Middle school was also horrible because 7th grade was online, and my brother was constantly clinging to me in 8th. Once we got to high school, I just stopped caring about what my parents said and did whatever I wanted. My rebellion mainly consisted of joining leadership in many clubs, I made lots of friends and started hanging out with them. My parents very clearly expressed their disapproval, but they weren't going to lock me up to stop me from doing things without my brother. I love my brother, but being forced to share my whole life with him as a kid has made me deeply resent him. He has no friends, so he sits in his room pretty much all the time. He throws massive tantrums whenever I go out with my friends or attend extracurricular activities. I feel bad for him, but I'm sick of being his constant, unwilling companion, and there's nothing I can do to help him. My parents always take his side and try to make me feel bad for living my life. Our latest conflict was about homecoming. I'm a princess, and I'm excited because I couldn't go last year because I was sick. My brother asked a girl to go with him, but she rejected him. So he's really upset and wants me not to go because he's not going. Today there was a picnic to kick off homecoming week, and he didn't go. But when I got back from it, he threw a huge tantrum when I left and was still crying when I got back hours later because he didn't want me to go to homecoming. My parents asked if I could just not go, but I told them that I don't care if my brother doesn't like it and he can't control my whole life. They said his mental health is suffering because he has no friends and doesn't have the best grades, and watching me have fun and do great at school isn't helping. I told them that his mental health was not my problem, and I'd go to homecoming whether they liked it or not. My brother's still crying in his room and didn't come out to eat dinner. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your parents aren't doing you or your brother any favors by thinking the solution is for you to stay home. Your brother has to learn that the world doesn't revolve around him. One day, your parents won't be here, and he needs to be given the tools to live independently or in a group home. Based on what you've said, it doesn't sound like he's so severe that he's unable to function. I'm surprised your parents aren't doing more to foster his independence. He needs help with his mental health, but it's up to them to get it for him and help him. You're not his parent. Absolutely. It's ridiculous for her to be expected to just pause her life for her brother's sake. Also, what about OP's mental health? Would hers not be harmed by throwing her life away because her parents and brother want her to? Hon, you're mistaken when you say that you've not been abused and neglected by your parents. This absolutely is toxic behavior. You all need family counseling. It's your parents' responsibility to help your brother cope in life without sacrificing you to do so. You're an independent person, not an emotional support animal for your brother. You deserve to have interest in a life of your own. As a side note, I can only hope my children's future teenage rebellions consist of joining leadership programs and extracurriculars. Like, seriously, a mother can only dream of such rebellions. Please keep doing that. It'll be great for you. In full sincerity, when you have no contact with them in a few years, I hope they finally realize what they've done to you. Grow and be free and happy and live your life. My 25 female best friend, Jen, 24 female, has been dating her girlfriend, Alexandra, 28, for around 6 months. Jen's been asking me to come over to Alex's house for dinner with my husband, James, 29. She wants us and her girlfriend to get along better and hasn't let go of this dinner idea. We have a toddler, so it took us a while until we were able to manage, but we did accept. Alexandra is a bit different from us. For instance, she comes from generational wealth, knows her way around art, is arrogant, etc. However, since she makes Jen exceptionally happy, I don't really care. It still sometimes shows that she's had a very different background. Alexandra's house was huge. James and I were looking at sculptures, paintings, etc. I wanted to be friendly, so I asked Alexandra about this painting that she had. She went on to explain who painted it, what it meant, how she bought it, etc. James asked her how much it cost her, and she said it was around $140K. My eyeballs practically got out of my head because you could easily buy a house with that money. I was so surprised that I said, "Holy heck, you paid that much for this thing?" Alexandra did not appreciate that and said art really didn't have a price and stuff like that. During dinner, I made another one of these comments when I realized the cutlery used at our table was all silver. And I was like, it's heavier, uncomfortable, and they cost God knows what. Alexandra clearly didn't like this comment too, because I saw her squeezing Jen's hand a bit, but thankfully she didn't say anything. After dinner, Jen told me I had embarrassed her with those comments. She said she wanted us and Alexandra to bond better, not the other way around. She's still upset with me. Am I the idiot? Edit. Jen is also much more comfortable financially, but she spends money way more reasonably, unlike her girlfriend, which is what caught me off guard. You are the idiot. You acknowledge she came from a privileged background. Your husband asked a very rude question about how much a piece cost. Then you said what you did. You two combined were totally a couple of idiot guests. Way to go to support your friend. The cutlery comment is what really gets me. Maybe you can say the painting was a reaction out of genuine surprise, but sitting down and criticizing the silverware of your host is ridiculous. You don't come into people's homes and make rude comments about the stuff they have. Doing it once could be a mistake because you were surprised, but doing it again shows you're rude. People have different amounts of money and spend their money differently. That's just life. You say Alexandra's arrogant, but honestly, you come across as more arrogant, judging her and subtly, or not so subtly, shaming her on how she spends her money in her home when she's been kind to invite you there. Caught that too, right? Not once did Alexandra come off as arrogant. I knew OP was projecting from sentence 1. Lady, you're rude. Plain and simple. It's like you're feral. Do you also ask acquaintances how much they weigh or their salary? Did your parents ever teach you, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all? Seriously, no home training or basic manners. Nothing. Feral is precisely the right word to use. Next time they visit you, I hope they ask if your couches were from a flea market and that they didn't like your Dollar General cutlery, because that's what you did to them. My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship. For context, she's still a little kid. Prior to us getting married, my husband and his ex-girlfriend had what seemed like a well-oiled machine when it came to co-parenting their daughter. I've always said I wouldn't date men with children. I don't have any children of my own yet because I didn't want that extra baggage. But to be honest, it was their co-parenting relationship that passed my mind at ease to become comfortable with the idea of becoming serious about him. I love my husband and his daughter dearly. However, her mother's slowly becoming a pain in my butt. Prior to me being in the picture, all expenses for their daughter had been split 50-50. There were no problems besides the little oddball expenses here and there that my husband had to cover 100%. Again, nothing major. It all started over the summer. My husband's ex-girlfriend wanted to go out of the country for a 2-week trip. She asked my husband if he could pay for their daughter 100%. At first he advised that he would, but then it dawned on him that she'd been pulling this kind of stunt for a few months now, where all of a sudden she's unable to pay for her portion of their daughter's expenses. He then advised her that he will pay for half, as they've been doing for years. I don't think she was too happy with that, but they went on their trip in summer, and all seemed to be well until it was time for school. She advised him that she wouldn't be able to pay for half of their daughter's tuition, as she's been doing along with her portion of the household expenses for the home that she shares with their daughter, which, in essence, means that he's going to be expected to fill the gap. As a result of all that's happening, my husband advised that now wouldn't be the best time for us to start our own family, as he would be stretched too thin financially. We've been talking about having a baby for the past few months, and we're about to start trying. Quite frankly, I'm angry that we have to put our family on hold due to his ex not being able to pull her weight financially. Am I the idiot for telling him that he needs to draw clear lines that his responsibility is his daughter alone, and his ex needs to figure out her crap and start pulling her financial weight again, like she's been doing? Not the idiot. She suddenly can't pay for childcare expenses right after a 2-week international vacation? Ex-girlfriend has decided to try to squeeze as much money as she can get out of your husband. They need a formal agreement as to parenting and payment of expenses. If she can't afford the school the child has been going to, then the child can go to public school. He shouldn't be paying for her vacations with mom. That's for mom to pay for, or she can leave the child home with him while she goes. This isn't a draw clear lines. It's a get a formal agreement and hold her to it. She can't pay her half of the home, then sell the home, and she can figure out her place to live. Pretty much. Guess she figures new wife will help foot the bills for her child now. My sticking point in all of this, why on earth would he pay anything for a 2-week international vacation that he's not attending? He very much needs to get a court order stating exactly how much he has to pay for anything. Mom needs to figure out her own finances. OP, your husband's being taken advantage of, and she's pushing him for all he'll give. She's doing it on purpose. You really need to rethink this relationship. You will never get to have the child you want, and he'll always put the ex above you. Maybe it's time to move on and find someone who wants to have children with you. He's not it. It's not wrong for him to want to support his child, but he does not have to support his ex. Maybe a trial separation to see how he wants to proceed, and if he doesn't want to have a life with you, then you need to move on. Don't waste another 5 years hoping he'll come to terms with what you want also. My male 41 wife, Jane, turns 40 in November. I bought her a pair of AirPod Pros a few years ago for her birthday since she needed new headphones. I've got a set and she borrowed them a lot, so I know she'd use them. She loved them. She takes good care of her things, but since then hers have started acting up or glitching and losing battery quickly. I know it frustrates her. Mine don't have these issues, but they're obviously not brand new, as I've had them for a couple of years. I can get a new pair for free through my job. I do need a new set, but why pass up the opportunity? And since her birthday's approaching, I plan to give her my old set. I want to clarify that I'm not planning on only giving her a pair of used headphones. I've got 3 or 4 other gifts that she'll love. That being said, I worry that she'll see me giving her my old pair as hand-me-downs, or as me splurging on myself instead of her. I wouldn't be surprised, since I myself might feel a bit of resentment if someone bought themselves a new item and gifted me the old one. I don't want to pass on the opportunity to get a new pair for free. I also don't want to toss out my current pair, and I'm sure it sounds selfish, but I want a new pair for myself, not get a new pair and give it away. So I guess my question is, would it make me the idiot if I gave my current used pair to my wife while keeping the new pair for myself? You are the idiot. Are you aware you have a brand new pair you could gift her instead of giving her your old ones? I can't figure out the logic at all. If you're passing along your old ones, it's not a birthday present. It's, hey, I got new AirPods. Enjoy my old ones. It's her 40th birthday. Just get her a good present. And don't make used AirPods any part of it. Agreed, this is so strange. Why didn't he first think of giving the wife the free ones? This is bloody bizarre. Dude, if you want the new pair so badly, keep them and buy her new ones and consider your old ones spares that either of you will be able to claim if the new ones start acting up. Taking the new ones yourself and giving her your hand-me-downs would only be appropriate if you were not giving them as a gift. Doing it as a gift is tacky. I've been friends with Dan for like 2 years, and we were together for 3 years. And in a lot of ways, we really clicked. But one point of conflict was that he always took jokes too far. 2 weeks ago was my birthday, and I got a text at work asking me to come over to his after work because we needed to talk. I replied, "Talk about what?" And he said he just didn't think things were working between us. So I had to cry with my work bestie in the bathroom, knowing that was pretty much a breakup text, and feeling hurt he'd drop it on me by text on my birthday at work. I was angry enough that I let my friend take my phone so I wouldn't say anything I regret, and she just ended up sending K and boy bye, and then blocking him. My boss came into the bathroom and found me crying. I said I'd just been dumped by text, and it was my birthday too. and she gave me the rest of the day off and told me to file it as sick leave, which was super kind of her. So I got in my car and went to his house, knowing he'd still be at work, and I grabbed all my crap because I honestly didn't feel like I had it in me to play the game of trying to get an ex to sort out all your crap and give it back to you over time. I just wanted to get my crap and go home, so I left my copy of the keys on his table when I left. I met my friends for drinks and we had a long talk where I vented about how sudden it was, how it felt out of nowhere because we had plans to spend Thanksgiving and Christmas together with his family, how we were starting to talk about getting engaged, and how I wanted to unblock him and actually talk. But my friends were like, "Not tonight, you've been drinking. If you still want to, in the morning." Which I feel was good advice under other circumstances. But when I called my ex the next day, he was getting upset with me about how I didn't come by to talk because, get this, it was a prank. He was also upset that I was ignoring his calls and texts and wasn't home when he came to my apartment that night. He thought it would be funny to send me a "we need to talk" text, and when I show up, take me on a fancy dinner on a boat and out to an exclusive rooftop bar, and basically surprise me with a really good night. I didn't buy it at first. I was like, you can't just change your mind about breaking up and make some crap up. He said it was seriously just a joke and that he hadn't meant it to come off as a breakup text. I said I wasn't interested in being with someone who dumped me over text, whether it was just a prank, bro, or not, and I reblocked him. I've since told all our friends that he dumped me over text on my birthday and then tried to get me back by saying it was a birthday prank or some crap. This makes me angry because he says he never dumped me, but everyone thinks he did. He's angry that I'd throw it all away like that and that I'd lie to our mutual friends. Am I the idiot for being like, okay, when my ex sent me a breakup text on my birthday as a prank? Not the idiot. You rolled like the queen you are. Consider it the greatest birthday gift he could give you, removing his presence from your life. If he was willing to go to those lengths for a prank, what else would he be willing to do? You dodged a bullet there. His behavior and attitude are massive red flags, and he has nobody to blame but himself. There's something seriously wrong with someone who would think it's funny to make you anxious and hurt on your birthday. There are plenty of harmless ways he could have pulled off a surprise, if that was even true. Instead, he did something vicious and mean, and then got angry when you had a normal reaction. He tried to make his behavior your fault. You dodged a bullet. This is not a prank. It's just cruel. Good riddance. Screw that dude. Of course, everyone believes you. They've seen his stupid jokes before, and you have the receipts if anyone has doubts. Kudos to your friends for being there for you and for keeping your phone locked that night. You've got better things to do than play games like that. Bravo for shaking off the dead weight and treating it the way you have. I, 32 female, got married 7 years ago. My mom made my wedding dress, and she also did the same for my older sister at her wedding 9 years ago. Sadly, my mother passed away 3 years ago from cancer. My younger sister, Jess, 27, is currently engaged, and her wedding will be in 1 year. We recently met for coffee, and she commented that she always wanted our mother to make her dress, but at the time she wasn't even with her current fiance, and now she can't anymore. After a little chat, she asked if I still had my wedding dress, as she would like to wear it too, as it was something my mother made. I was a little disconcerted and asked if it could be our sister's dress. She's already lent it to someone else, as I was very attached to the wedding dress. She said she didn't want hers because it wasn't white. It was pastel pink, and my body and hers were more similar. I said I didn't want to because even though we have similar bodies, it would need adjustment in the breast and hips area. I don't want to modify the dress, but she could borrow my veil if she wanted to have something from our mother. She started complaining, saying that it wouldn't hurt me to borrow the dress. The adjustments would be minimal. She was the only one of the sisters who couldn't have something done by her mom, and she basically had to turn to me to get something of hers. She practically begged me to borrow the dress. I feel bad for her, but I really don't want to modify anything in the dress because it's a memory of my mom and one of the best days of my life. It was just for me. So in the face of all of this, I don't feel comfortable letting her borrow the dress, but I could concede the veil. She walked away crying after I stood by my decision, saying that I was being selfish, not to allow her to have any feelings close to having something done by her mother and not being able to share something so special with her too. She will never have something close to that. People are calling me an idiot, our father, fiance, and in-laws, except my older sister, who didn't choose sides. So am I? Extra. It's not a dress I wear all the time, of course, but it's literally something that's unique to each daughter. The three of us have flower names and dress, and my older sister's dress has details of our flowers. No idiots here. I'm sorry for both of you. She's right that it isn't fair that she won't get a dress, but you would be losing yours. The veil would be a good compromise if your mother made that as well. The only idiots are the other people forcing themselves into the conversation by calling OP an idiot. It's okay for sister to ask, even for her to beg, but it's okay for OP to hold her ground. Fiance and his family don't have the right to interject themselves into the situation and need to sit down. OP's dad can weigh in, but he should recognize how each daughter's handling their grief. You are the idiot. She asked, you refused, which was your right to do so. However, from her point of view, she will never have that connection to your mother that she lost. I get that the dress is special to you. You've made it clear that it means more to you than your flesh and blood sister. So when your relationship falls apart, take comfort in knowing that a piece of material is still intact to keep you company, rather than sharing the special bond you had with your mother with your sister. Again, she asked and you refused, and that was your selfish right to do, but it was an idiot move. I agree, this is so sad, and I totally understand both perspectives. However, why don't you and your sister have a dress made for her with the flowers of her name on it? So while it won't be from your mom, it will be from her big sisters. Honestly, you're not the idiot, and hopefully she will accept this. I have a son, Ryan, 22. Ryan has a wife, Holly, 22. They got married and moved in together around 4 months ago after dating for 3 years. I'm really happy for them. There's just a small problem though. Holly has recently started making posts on social media with jokes about how horrible mothers-in-law are, all the time. When seeing them, I thought I had done something to upset Holly. I asked her about it, and she insisted that I hadn't upset her, and she just posted them because she thought they were funny. I asked Ryan about it, and he said that Holly never seemed upset at me and told me I'm overthinking it. But Holly keeps making these posts. The rest of my family have even been asking me if everything's okay between me, Ryan, and Holly because they've seen the post too. The last straw was when Holly posted about arguments with monsters-in-law. Now everyone in my family thinks I argued with Holly when that didn't even happen. I asked Holly about it again, and she said that once again, she just posted it because she thought it was funny, not anything personal to me. I told Holly that she was making me uncomfortable and making my family think that I was being horrible to her. Holly said that's not her problem and that people need to learn how to take a joke. I asked Holly to stop making these posts because people aren't going to interpret them that way. Holly said that I'm being unreasonable and told me I couldn't tell her what to do and said that I was a bossy jerk. Not the idiot. Holly is 100% doing this on purpose. If she has an issue with you, she should talk to you about it like a reasonable adult instead of making passive-aggressive posts. Also, allowing everyone else in your family to believe that you had an argument with her that didn't happen is incredibly manipulative on Holly's part. OP, fight fire with honey though if you use social media. Post some really nice things about family and make sure she's included in that. Have a nice visit. Post about how thankful you are for visits with family. Post those nice inspirational posts about how daughters-in-law are bonus daughters and treasures and perfect for whatever reason. Don't go mad, just a little sprinkle among your other things to make it clear that you value her. Start getting snap happy at family gatherings, even if not taking photos of the people, a picture of the food, and another lovely meal with son and daughter-in-law tagged. So when she posts her nonsense, people will be able to see the disparity between them, but you have the receipts. Just don't go overboard. That looks like overcompensating or hiding something. The trick is to keep it subtle, genuine, and occasional. This is the way. Don't just kill with kindness, annihilate with compassion. Leave no survivors. Holly does sound like she's trying to stir up drama, but the best way to deal with that is not to give them the drama they want. Make yourself untouchable by not giving her any ammo whatsoever. She sounds like she wants an evil mother-in-law, just to be part of the in-laws from the bad place club or something. My female 32, father 56, lives with me. After my mom passed away a few years ago, he had trouble dealing with life and I tried to help him out. I had a spare room and I said he could stay there. My siblings and I cleaned up my parents' house and we rented it out with his 100% agreement. The money covers the mortgage and lets him contribute to my household budget for food and utilities. Andy has a little money every month, so he doesn't have to go into his savings or retirement funds. He could go back to work, but he hasn't. I'm not a mental health professional, but he won't go to one either. I think he's just depressed, but I can't make that diagnosis. I work from home and occasionally meet clients for lunch or at their workplaces, so my car usually sits for days on end. My father got the idea that I didn't need a car for myself, and when my aunt's car broke down, he started letting her borrow mine without my permission. I told him that if he wanted to lend out a car, he should lend his car out. He drives a very nice full-size truck. He says that my aunt is uncomfortable driving it. I said I didn't care and needed my vehicle to be available. He said that family helps family. I said my car was mine and not to be lent out. I spoke with my aunt and told her to stop asking for my car. He decided to test my patience. He trapped me in the garage with his truck and left the house one day when he knew I had a meeting. I had to Uber to the meeting. I was almost late. I was absolutely livid. When I got home, his car was still there, but my car was gone. My aunt needed it for appointments. I told him that it was time for him to move out. He isn't just inconveniencing me now. He's actively sabotaging my job. He cried that he was sorry and wouldn't do it again. I gave him one last chance. There were no problems until yesterday. He lent out my car so my aunt could visit her kid. He had had a key made. I saw that my car was missing, and I didn't even ask. I called and reported it stolen. My car has a tracker in it because it's not paid off. It was easy to find. I, in the meantime, had turned off my phone and gone shopping. I was unavailable when everyone started calling me to tell the cops that my aunt had my permission to take my car. I feel bad for wasting the cops' time, and my family says my aunt was traumatized. My dad is moving in with her now. I did drop the charges and cleared everything up, but my family's still mad at me. I'm mostly mad at my father, but my aunt bore the brunt. Not the idiot. Your aunt knowingly took your car without asking for your permission. That is your car, not your father's. Your aunt is not innocent here. You told her not to use your car. Why can't she Uber to her appointments? Her schedule is not your responsibility. Now you have your car, and your dad is moving in with her. I'd say that's a win-win. You've done way more than your share. Do you think that aunt will somehow find it within herself to drive your dad's truck and not feel uncomfortable? Now that's her only option. Agreed, but you missed my favorite point. How is it no one had OP's number to ask about borrowing the car, but magically found it when they needed to get aunt out of trouble with the cops? Amazing. To screw around is human. To find out is divine. I had to LOL at the family helps family. Hello? You're putting your dad up and taking care of his affairs. You didn't waste the cops' time. Your car was literally stolen. Just because it was stolen by someone you know doesn't mean it wasn't stolen. Furthermore, you specifically told them both to stop taking your car. I wouldn't have dropped the charges. Yeah, and Daddy has a nice new truck. He could trade in for a couple of used vehicles. You know, since he's so adamant about family helping the family. And then there's the whole thing where he doesn't have the money to live on his own, but has a brand new vehicle. Frankly, they deserve each other, and you deserve space from them. I'm 22 male. My nephew is pre-tween, and my brother's 23. I have a special nickname for my nephew. I call him Blip. I call him that because he was a tiny baby when he was born, and when I first held him, my dad said, "He's barely a blip on your radar." That was a joke because I'm pretty tall, and my nephew looked extra tiny when I was holding him. Since then, Blip became my nickname for him. I still call him that, and he doesn't like it when anyone other than me calls him that. The issue happened earlier today. My siblings, they're technically my step-siblings, but I consider them siblings, and I were visiting my dad and stepmom. I got there at the same time as my brother. I walked in and said hello to everyone. I said, "Hey, Blip," to my nephew. My brother, nephew's uncle, walked in after me and said, "Hey, Blip," to my nephew as well. My nephew didn't like that and politely asked my brother not to call him that. That started an argument between my brother and me that ended with him asking me not to call my nephew Blip anymore. I refused, and my brother called me a pompous idiot. The families are pretty split on this. My dad and older sister, my nephew's mom, think I should be allowed to have a special nickname for my nephew, but my stepmom and younger stepsister think that if they can't call him Blip, then I shouldn't be allowed to either. So, am I the idiot for refusing to stop using my nephew's nickname? Editing to add. After the argument between my brother and me, I asked my nephew if he was still okay with me using his nickname. He said he still wanted to be called Blip by me. Not the idiot. The only opinion that matters is your nephew's. Everything else is just noise. Why is there a family debate over this? Why are the families involved? Why did bro just not stop and apologize when your nephew told him not to call him the nickname? Your bro certainly is, and your families are out of line. It seems like one of the most common things in family too. I have a nickname I only accept from my sister, and she has one she only accepts from me. They're indicative of a relationship only we have, so no one else even tries to use them, as they don't have that specific relationship with either of us. It feels like the family's trying to ensure they get a piece of the relationship between OP and his nephew, which is just sad, as bonds should be unique. Exactly. Your nephew doesn't like it when anyone else calls him Blip. If your brother keeps calling him Blip, he'll only teach him that others can disregard his identity as they wish. So anyone else who calls him that without his permission is the idiot. I'm amazed that your brother, who's 23, doesn't understand what is obvious to your child.